gentlemen, please help us maintain social distancing practices by staying in or within arm's length of your car. If you must exit your vehicle, please keep your mask on at all times. Tune your car radios into 89.7 FM to hear the live broadcast.
Greetings. I'm George Boston Ryan with the Get To Free Press, a freelance journalist with Boston G.B.R. on YouTube, Facebook, www.georgebostonryans.com, and many other sites across the web. I have published part 2, 3, and 4 about the senatorial race here in the state of Georgia, wherein we had the bus to come to Valdosta a few weeks ago. J.D. Rice, you will see other local figures here in the city of Valdosta and Lowndes County, Georgia. I have already posted part 2, part 3, and part 4. This is part 1 of 4. In other words, I planned it this way. This is the introduction to those videos. A few minutes ago, I tried to go live on Facebook, but you all know how Facebook do not let you post like they used to. You also know that YouTube do not count your views, and they're doing everything they can to suppress good information. Foolishness, they have no problem with that. So let me get down to the brass tacks of why I'm sitting before you today on Facebook Live. This is a thank you to the Honorable Stacey Abrams and Fair Fight and others, Black Lives Matter, Black Vote Matters. All of those are great people and organizations. I want to thank them for all the great, outstanding civil and human rights work that they have done. But I ask you, as a common man sent to a common people, to bring about real common change if it's no place but in your brains, when others ignore the beef of what goes on in the black community. You hear Stacey Abrams and others talk about the right to vote, suppressing the black vote, impediments to voting, intimidation to voters, and just outright denying blacks the right to vote. But my question to Miss Stacey Abrams at Fair Fight NAACP and others, including all these people who are paying other people to go knock on doors to get a majority Democratic vote in the Senate. I've been fighting since December the 21st, 2010, to try and get the chairman of the Democratic Party, DuBose Porter, and others, including Stacey Abrams, fair fight, the Georgia Associated Press, the Black Mayors Association, and others to address the issues and the pain and suffering of black elected officials that are elected on the local level when they do everything that Stacey Abrams and the rest of the gang ask them to do. They register, they go out to vote, and do everything they ask them to do. But when they do that, and when they are elected to office, the news media will not publish the attacks and bogus charges brought up against them in order to remove them from office. These black elected officials that Stacey Abrams is not addressing in a way that I can hear it, nor the people that I have interviewed. And they don't like it. They don't like the Democratic Party ignoring them. The truth must be told so the lies can be exposed and we can do better. So let me go through the beef of what I'm speaking of right now. December the 21st, Secretary of State Brian P. Kemp brought the Quitman 10+2 up on bogus charges to the tune of 200 charges. After 4 years, all of them was dropped. But the people in that community was torn apart because when they went to court and had to fight for 4 years, Lula Smart had 4 trials and they kept taking to court, but eventually all of those charges were dropped. There was no Democratic Party chairman to come and assist them. Nobody. For the most part, they was alone. So after Stacey Abrams gets you out to vote, then these wicked white folk, along with Uncle Tom's and Aunt Jane, will still remove you from office. But nobody's talking about that. The white-dominated news media will not publish that for you. But I have done it. But I'm asking you, why is it that this is not on the platform of the Black Votes Matters, or the Black Lives Matter agenda? Why don't they go to Madison, Florida, and look at what they did to the Madison, Florida 9? Attorneys came from Tallahassee to assist these black voters and elected officials. But what do you know about it? What news media network connected the dots from Madison, Florida to Brooks County and Quitman, Georgia, and what they did to those people? Did Stacey Abrams, Fair Fight, and the rest of the outstanding crowds, did they go to Meigs, Georgia, and see how a black elected official, Mayor Linda Harris, was mistreated, lied on, and eventually removed from office? Did anybody connect the dots to Camilla with the Mayor Rufus Davis and the mayor before him, and what they went through after they registered, they cast their vote, it was counted, but then the person they voted into office was removed without any news media network connecting the dots to show their pain and suffering? She lost a good job, Mayor Linda Harris. Just like the Quitman 10, some of them lost their jobs. The Madison, Florida 9, they called me, some of them lost their job. Tina, over there called me. But who have connected the dots like George Boston Rhymes, a retired military veteran that loved you enough to give you the truth because I take my religion outside of the four walls of a church building, unlike what I used to do because I was scared as hell. But when the real Spirit of God got tangled up in this brain and in my soul, it made me stand up for God's children. Wait a minute, haven't finished yet. Then I was called to Lumpkin, Georgia, with former Mayor Charles Gibson. They lied him out of office too, after he was voted in by the voters, Stacey Abrams. But who have came to connect the dots about all these places that I just mentioned, about what these wicked white folk and some Uncle Tom Negroes did to these people, and the news media won't even publish it. Wait a minute, I haven't finished yet. Then I was called to Dawson, Georgia, with Christopher Wright, the mayor, the historic mayor, the youngest mayor in the state of Georgia ever. Let me ask you a question. The voters voted, did everything they were supposed to do, but then they brought him up from his yard after being shot in his mother's backyard about 6 times. His neighbor, who was a pastor, heard him crying outside and went and came to his aid, and of course, he lived to serve and finish out his term of mayor. What is Stacey Abrams saying about that? What is Fair Fight saying about that? What are Black Lives Matter saying about that? What is Black Voters Matter saying about that? I want to thank the NAACP president in Dawson, Mr. Holly, because he did stand up and still standing up. And it was later found out that the white city manager put a hit on that black mayor's life to the tune of $5,000, $3,000 or $5,000. And it was a black person that attempted to carry out that mission. Oh, wait a minute, I haven't finished yet. What about Warrenton, Georgia, with Mayor George Ivey and how they mistreated him after the voters elected him, Stacey Abrams? He has all these people have a story to tell, want to tell their stories. I met with a few of them in a group in Macon, Georgia. But no news media showed up because you see the news in the black community is not news to wicked white folk and Uncle Tom's and Aunt Jane black folk. So George Ivey, I went over there, and there's more I could say, but I want to rush right on through. I want to leave there, and I want to go to Clayton County. I was called to Clayton County as well. A candidate running for public office was mistreated, and he brought this up in Macon, and I was there, and I recorded this on my YouTube channel, Boston G.B.R., how he stood before Secretary of State Brian P. Kemp, who was 90 governor, and he talked about how he was mistreated. Stacey Abrams, but you don't report that. All due respect, I want to commend you for the work you're doing. Fair Fight, you're doing good. But you didn't publish that and still not publishing. Black Lives Matter, you're doing a great job. I commend you, but you're not working on that. Black Voters Matters, you came here to Valdosta. I talked with you about all this stuff that I'm talking. I haven't heard from you since. I have not heard from you since. I'm not downing you. I'm speaking the truth, just like I started out. I'm speaking the truth because I know there's more than being a Christian than just hollering, I'm saved, sanctified, Holy Ghost, filled, fire baptized, on my way to heaven. There's more than being a Muslim than saying Allah, Hamdulillah, etc., etc. There's more to being a Jew than just saying Shalom. There's more to being a real Buddhist than just saying that I am in tune with nature. So from Clayton County, I was called to Gordon, Georgia, with Mary Ann Whippaloo, They took that woman through hell and high water. And everything that I'm saying to you this day have been recorded on my Boston G.B.R. channel. But you don't see where the news media, nor Stacey Abrams, Connect the Dots, or any other of these organizations, including the NAACP, the Democratic Party. And we wrote the Department of Justice. We wrote President Barack Obama. We wrote Eric Holder with Equipment 10+2. And they still were not concerned about the complete circle of voting rights here in the state of Georgia. Mayor Ann Whippaloo was the first black mayor in Gordon, Georgia. She was the first female mayor, and she was the first black female mayor. Okay, she made history. The first black mayor, the first female mayor, the first black female mayor. And they lied on her. They took her to court so many times. I drove all the way from Valdosta, Georgia to cover her story because I saw what those wicked white folk and the wicked Uncle Tom Negroes there in Gordon did to try to destroy her. But she served her term in office without the help, let me say this very clearly, without the help of any news media outlet in Macon, Georgia. They all lied on her and published half-truth. She had to take money out of her own pocket. The voters in Gordon did exactly what Stacey Abrams wants you all to do. They registered, they voted, they made sure they voted was counted, they voted absentee ballot, they monitored the polls, and they were elected. But after they were elected, what did you say, Stacey Abrams, my beautiful sister? What did you say, NAACP? What did you say, SCLC, Congressional Black Caucus, and the rest of the gang? What did you all say then about all of these people that I've been talking about, who connected the dots like I have done by the grace of the God of my creation? And don't get me wrong, I'm not downing you all, because you can't help yourself. You have to be who you are, just like I'm being who I am and what God made me. Nobody connected the dots of all these black elected officials that are in pain. Some of them went to jail, and going up further around the Athens and Augusta area, some of those black folks are in prison. The black district attorney is in prison because black folk in the Democratic Party, Republican Party, and the news media would not even cover their stories so they could get justice. Wait a minute, I haven't finished yet. Y'all let me go on through here. I don't want to, I'm going to stop right there. I just want to show you all the pattern. I have their names, their phone numbers. I've sent it to Rachel Maddow. I've sent it to HLN, Nasa Graves. I've sent it to Al Sharpton, National Action Network. And so that's how I know many of these people are playing a game with us, saying they for voting rights. How can you be for voting rights, and then when the vote is counted and the people are voted in the office, y'all say to hell with them. We don't give a damn about you now. And you turn your backs on them. I'm going to call you a liar to your face because I'm not a hypocrite. And because I love the Jesus and the Muhammad and the son of Amram and Yoshabel, Moses and Buddha, and the rest of these deities that y'all believe in. That's why I speak the truth, because I love you all in the spirit of truth. Let me skip right along. I was also called to Sparta and Hancock County, Georgia. Here again, the New York Times did come down. I have to give them credit. And they busted that place up and showed they had, black folk had to show their property deeds to vote. If you think I'm lying, Google Sparta and Hancock County and the New York Times. They came down, they did cover that, but they didn't connect the dots. Well, nobody in America connect the dots about all these places but me. Because I love you all. I don't just love you to go tell you to vote and then after you get elected, say to hell with y'all. in your pain and suffering. And let me go back and say one other thing. Do you not, Latasha Head was one of the equipment 10+2, and she died from the stress that Secretary of State Brian P. Kemp hyped upon those people. And 4 years later, all the charges were dropped. So who's going to pay for her death? That was a useless death, according to her father, which I talked to. Yes. Sparta and Hancock County, Davisboro, Georgia, I was called there too. Nichols, Georgia, I was called there too. Telfair County with Sheriff Stevenson stood before Secretary of State Brian P. Kemp in Macon, Georgia, and I was the only news media outlet that stood there and recorded the whole proceedings there in Macon when it was a meeting for the Secretary of State about voter suppression, voter intimidation. But what did your news media say about it? Have Stacey Abrams addressed all of this stuff? Have Stacey Abrams asked for the record on these people that I'm talking about so they can investigate? The NAACP, have they called for the records so they can investigate these situations and these people who are in pain and who were shot down by all of these so-called black leading organizations, but they are crying and they're in pain today, and they want to meet with some collective national news media so they can tell their stories before the world, so they really can improve upon voting rights in Georgia. Mary Ann Whipperloo will stand before the president or God and tell her story. Linda Harris will stand before God and tell her story. The Madison, Florida 9, the equipment 10+2. Davis Borough Mayor Rufus Davis is overqualified to tell his story. Charles Gibson would tell his story. His secretary, Tyra, who they removed from office, will tell her story. George Ivey will tell his story. Look in Willacoochee, Georgia. I was called to Willacoochee. The white mayor paying black folks to vote for him, driving around in a state representative car. Now, I give credit to the NAACP because the NAACP called for a press conference to all the news medias in the area to cover the story about voter suppression and voter intimidation. But I was the only one showed up because black news is not news in the white community. And they don't give a damn about you. That's why they don't cover your story. And black folk, for the most part, in these various organizations are proven they don't give a damn about you. And this is why there's a segment of black people in Sylvester say they're going to never vote for the Democratic Party because the Democratic Party ignores all of these small towns that I have mentioned and more. They said this at a meeting in Sylvester, Georgia, where Brother Overstreet was ran over by a sheriff deputy, and then the coroner came and backed over him again. That's not in news either. Because, see, the black news is not white news. I've documented it, along with about 12 other black people that were murdered by law enforcement. Black Lives Matter have never went to those areas. Black Voters Matter have never gone to those areas. Stacey Abrams haven't gone to those areas. The Atlanta Journal-Constitution haven't gone to those areas. Congressional Black Caucus haven't said nothing about that. Al Sharpton have never addressed that. We sent it to Al Sharpton. We talked about Al Sharpton in the video. They begged Al Sharpton and the National Action Network and Rachel Maddow to come and visit Waycross to talk about these people that were shot down like wild dogs. So you'll hear about Mr. Avery Albury. But you don't hear nothing about Nathaniel Lee. You don't hear nothing about Roberson, who was shot down in his mama's living room. 60 minutes, 48 hours, Dateline, 20, your line, nobody else. They won't publish that. I have published it. But won't nobody connect the dots. And yet you, like me, go and join the armed forces and say you're fighting for freedom of justice and freedom of speech, etc., etc., etc. You are liars. And I don't say that out of hate. I say it out of great love and humility. You are liars, and the truth is not in you. Jesus said, my sheep know my voice, and a stranger they will not follow. But those who really love Jesus, they just wouldn't be in the church. They would be out walking their beat like I have walked. Because I don't walk no more, because I done found out that black folk don't give a damn. They want to get on camera and they want to build a name for themselves, while the people crying catch hell, going into jail and prisons, and don't have no organization, not even a national, local, or state news media network. The Georgia Associated Press will not even connect the dots. And it is a disgrace to the human race. And somebody got to say it, and I don't mind saying it. Wait a minute, still haven't finished yet. I was called to Douglas, Georgia, with Olivia Coley Pearson, and God knows they did her wrong. I mean, I done recorded wherein the local newspaper there was in the back room with the people as they count the votes. And somebody said to me, Ryan, go to the back. So I took my camera, a 4K camera, walked back in the back, and then the mayor daddy told me, you can't come back here. I said, yes, I am. No, you can't come. Stop. You can't come back here. Let me go check. And then after I persisted, the white cameraman was already in the little room, but they wouldn't let me in it. And so they wouldn't, since they the supervisor said I couldn't go in. This is in Coffee County and Douglas, y'all. Then they had him to come out and go behind the glass. That's where they made me go. But if I had not gone back there where they was counting the votes, I wouldn't have been able to go back there. Stacey Abrams haven't addressed that. I guarantee you that. Black Lives Matter haven't addressed that. Black Voters Matter haven't addressed. And I'm down in y'all. If you can prove that I'm lying, please do so. But you can't do it, because I just talked to Olivia Coley Pearson. I'm talking about address the issues. That's what I'm talking about. There's a lady that I interviewed there with Justice League United, Bobby Worthy. The lady in a wheelchair, paralyzed. And we recorded her. I haven't posted it, but there was complaints made to the Secretary of State about her and another individual, but there was never an internal investigation about those voting impediments from Secretary of State Brian P. Kemp, lead investigator. I can't think of his name right now, but they never responded to that. Just like they never responded to the equipment 10+2 when Glenn Austin came down. Yeah, that's him. Glenn Austin came down to Quitman and held a meeting, and I gave him DVDs to prove unequivocally what happened with equipment 10+2, and he never did a report on those complaints. But who cares? We just get on the stage and get people to hollering, I'm for voting rights, and I want to make sure that you do this and you do that, but then you get the message. I haven't finished yet. I was also called to Homerville, Georgia. Now Olivia Coley Pearson, I mean, they want her out of the office bad, man. She's been in the office over 20 years, but that's one black woman. I don't understand how all the black women and black organizations and black Greek letter alphabets ought to go over there and say, we're going to help you. We feel sorry for you. Black Lives Matter, I think, went over. Went over there, but I'm not talking about just driving a big colorful bus. I'm talking about putting your feet on the ground and your feet to the mud, and then rub your nose in the behind the prison wall, jail walls, if you have to show that you support her in all. And they done brought her up on something else, y'all. She got to go to court again. Judge Spivey denied me the right to put the camera in the courtroom to record what they was doing to that woman, because what they did to her was unfair, but who cares? And as long as white folk know that the black folk don't give a damn about each other except for every 2 to 4 years when they want somebody to vote for them, that's why white folk don't worry about you. And you done made so many black folks in these little small rural towns so angry at you. That's why they don't vote. Stacey Abrams, that's why a lot of blacks don't vote. Black Lives Matter, vote Black voters matter. That's why in these rural towns, these black folk won't get out. They say, if they don't give a damn about us, we don't give a damn about them. Now, somebody got to tell it. I didn't agree with them. See or don't, I vote. There's a big movement coming out of Sylvester. I will give you his phone number, and y'all can come and address the organization if you want to. They say they're not going to vote for the Democratic Party because when they having problems in their small town and they called Du Bois Porter, who was the chair of the Democratic Party, they didn't go see them. So they're not going to vote. You can talk all you want, but until somebody come and try to heal the pain of these suffering black folk and white folk who join them in this foolishness. Now y'all wondering why I'm talking like this? I served during the Vietnam War era. And if I was willing to put my life on the line and die for people that I did not know, should I not put my life on the line for the black man, woman, and children and white right people here in America that I love with all of my heart, soul, strength, and mind? You see, I don't play games like I used to. I watch y'all in church. See, I used to be the same way. I've gone to the mosque in the synagogue with the Jews. I've even gone into Buddha temples so I would understand them and what do they love and what do they hate. And I found out that I love them all and I hate none of them. And that's why I will fight just as long for an atheist as I would for a person in the Church of God in Christ. I will fight for a Muslim brother just like I would fight for a Palestinian. I will fight for a Russian as I would fight for an American citizen if he stand up and want to do what's right. I used to play games in church. Used to clap my hands and tell everybody I'm saved, sanctified, Holy Ghost full, and fire baptized, and pray for everything. Used to pray before I walk around my house, say, God, protect me while I walk around this house. I later found out all I do is get my ass out and walk around the house. That's all I got to do, and God ain't got nothing to do with it. No more than he do with a worm crawling across your floor in your kitchen. Used to pray for everything. God, you know I need a new car. Lord, you know I need something on my table this morning. I got my black behind up and started working like I'm supposed to work. And standing up for my rights, and I had all the money I needed. Can go out and buy any new car I want to. Got my credit score up to 890. I can do any damn thing I want to. And then I pray to God about those things that I cannot handle, but the things I can handle, and he have given me, just like he gave the birds and the fish of the sea and the wind that blow and the dirt that exists and the gold beneath the earth. God done took care of his business. I just need to take care of mine. And when y'all start taking care of your people and your business, you don't have to pray so darn much. Bible says pray without ceasing, but you better find out what to pray for, because some of you all praying for the wrong thing. If I got $10,000 in the car, in the bank, let me repeat, if I got $10,000 in the bank and I need a brand new ink pen, I don't have to pray about that. I just go to Walmart or Publix or wherever I'm going, just buy the darn thing. But if I ain't got nothing, because I haven't taught my people what to do, like create businesses for each other, stop going to white folk to make them richer and richer. And I'm not criticizing white folk. I commend white people, just like the Koreans and Jews and everybody else. They love themselves enough to love each other, respect each other, employ each other, create businesses so they can employ their own. Then shut up talking about white folk and tell them we respect what you're doing. So we're going to learn one day, in about 300 or 400 or 500 more years, we're going to learn that we need to create jobs for ourselves, and we need to become in political government so we will stand up when we get elected and not bow to other people and do what they tell us to do, rather than standing up for the people that voted us into office. Y'all have a nice day. May God bless you. I didn't want to go this long. I really came to talk about connecting the dots and how no news media have published what I've told you about. And believe me, that's a very, very short list. That's not all of them. I was called to New Orleans. Not only called, they paid my way. I got on a plane and went to New Orleans. Stayed 3 days out there along with Commissioner Olivia Coley Pearson and another lady. Just like I was called to Bentonville, Arkansas with Walmart Stores Incorporated because of the videos that I do. But the thing that I've published, see, that's not news to Facebook. That's not news to NBC, MSNBC. And they call me a lot of dirty names, but they will not call me a black man that loves his people, and a black man that loves his nation, and above all, a black man who loves his God. I don't tell you that I love God all the time. You don't see me in your church like you do all the time, but you'll see me out riding into Jerusalem on the back of an ass. Yeah, I ride into Jerusalem on the back of an ass, just like the black Jesus in the Bible. You want to know what I mean when I say riding the black ass into the cities? Jesus rode into Jerusalem. I was on the back of an ass when I rode into Madison, Florida, to stand up for the Madison, Florida 9. I rode on the back of the ass of truth when they called me. When they called me to Quitman on December the 21st, I was in Atlanta, but I got on the back of an ass, which is the truth ass, and rode into that city. And that's why I got more videos than anybody, stood up more than anybody for those people. That's why I got on the back of an ass when I heard they were talking about Mayor Linda Harris, talking about she was putting roots on folk. I got on the back of the ass and I rode into Meigs, Georgia. I got on the back of the ass and I rode into Camilla, Georgia. I got on the back of the ass and I went into Lumpkin with Charles Gibson. I got on the back of an ass and I rode into Dawson, Georgia. Got on the back of the ass and I rode into Clayton County. I got on the back of the ass and I rode into Warrenton, Georgia with George Ivy. I got on the back of the ass and rode into Davisboro, Georgia. I got on the back of the ass and I rode into Telfair County. I rode on the back of the ass and went into Sparta and Hancock County, Georgia. I got on the back of the ass and I rode into Nichols, Georgia with the president of the NAACP. I got on the back of the ass and I rode into Willacoochee, Georgia. I got on the back of the ass and I went into Douglas, Georgia. I got on the back of the ass and I rode into Homerville, Georgia, where this white City Councilman Witherspoon had a homestead exemption in the state of Florida, a homestead exemption in the state of Georgia, and he had a paying tax and homestead exemption in Lowndes County, but he was holding public office in Homerville where he didn't even have a domicile. But I got on the back of the ass of truth and I rode into Homerville just like Jesus rode into Jerusalem on the back of an ass. And that ass that Jesus rode on was nothing more than truth. And this is why Jesus said in St. John 8:32, and you shall know the truth and the truth shall set and make you free. I talk like this because I want you free. And the devil will not give you the truth, and the news media will not give you the truth. They will not connect the dots like I have done because they don't want you free. They want you to continue to be a slave in 2021. They want you to be a slave. And let me close by saying this. Y'all stop that lie talking about you was enslaved in 1619 in North America. This first slave ship that brought us over here for slavery was a slave ship called Jesus, captained by one Sir John Hawkins, a slave trader, in the year of 1555. Not 1619, but 1555. Don't take my word for it or nothing else that I've said today. You do your own research so you can stand up and speak the truth like Jesus spoke after he got on the back of an ass and rode into Jerusalem so he could set the people free and bring us salvation as we believe it. Peace be unto you, Christians, peace be unto you, Muslims, peace be unto you, Jews, peace be unto you, Buddhists, peace be unto all other denominations and the Catholics. I love all of y'all, but if you can't stand up for truth, you're an enemy of mine, and I still love you, but you just an enemy that I love. Bye-bye. We gone.